Mixed feelings for this episode as the Cardinals drop game three to the Phillies, but the Blues win a must win game at home versus the Blackhawks. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Arch City Sports, a St. Louis sports podcast covering all the sports in St. Louis. The Cardinals and Blues both played today, both at home. The Cardinals had a noon game, the Blues had a night game. Before we get started, though, make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure to rate and follow the pod. We'd really appreciate it. Go follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and X at Arch City Sports. We would really appreciate it. We post daily St. Louis sports content over there, talking about the Cardinals, Blues, and St. Louis City. Let's start today with the Cardinals game. Again, like I said, it was a noon game. Lance Lynn was on the mound, and the weather played a huge factor in this one. Lance pitched very well in this one. I knew early on, though, it was going to be a rough one because the weather was all over the place. It was raining all day long. Every single inning, the game lasted forever because every single inning they had to kind of redo the infield and make sure the dirt was good and the mound was nice, and the game lasted a long time. That's why I think Lance couldn't really. I mean, he pitched well. He kind of gutted his way through this one. And if we're being honest, Lance Lynn has had some rough luck with his starts so far this season. Uh, his first start against the Los Angeles Dodgers, he went 4 innings. They had that rain delay. He didn't come out after that rain delay. His next start against Miami, he pitched pretty well. His pitch count was kind of high, and then he gave up a couple homers. I believe in the fifth inning that was to Jake Berger couldn't remember who got the other one there. And then in this one, the weather again, like I've said a couple times now, the weather just played a huge factor in this one, and it was hard for him to find his groove and find his footing on that mound. But he gutted his way through it. In the first inning, though, he had two guys on base, had two outs. His pitch count was over 20 in the first inning. He got a fly ball to Victor Scott in center field. And in my opinion, Victor Scott didn't really give his 100% effort to go after this ball. He was going to catch it over his shoulder, and the wind and the rain, and it was hard for him to see. It went to his other shoulder, and he turned and he dropped the ball for an error. A run scored. After that, Lance Lynn had an error, another run scored, and quickly it was 2-0 Phillies after the first inning. After that, Lance Lynn absolutely found his groove as much as he could with the conditions today. He went 5 innings, gave up one hit overall, no earned runs, just those 2 runs in the first inning. He had 6 strikeouts as well. I thought he really performed well in this one. And I have barely any bad things to say all year so far about our starting pitching. Yes, we're 6-7 on the year, but the starting pitching has not been the issue, besides potentially if you want to talk about Kyle Gibson's start when he gave up 6 in the first inning. But even that had a bright side to it because he finished off that start very well. But overall, I was very pleased with Lance Lynn. I mentioned Victor Scott struggling in that first inning with that error. He overall had his worst game of his young career. Now, Victor Scott has had some ups and downs so far early in this season and in his career. Had a couple nice moments in San Diego and in LA earlier, couple series ago. But overall, he's batting under 100. He dropped two balls today. I think only one counted for an error. The other one he was caught in between, either diving for it or just catching it on the run. He kind of just half fell over. It was completely in his glove and it fell out. Um, and then the probably the worst moment for Victor Scott today over either of those, we needed a rally late in the game. I believe it was the eighth inning, and Victor Scott got an infield single. We kept thinking, just get the ball in play for Victor Scott. And with all the conditions of the grass and the dirt, anything could happen. And he got on first base with a grounder to Alec Boehm at third base. And he took about 2 steps slightly to the left, meaning he was going for second base, is the rule there. And so they tagged him out, and it ruined a potential rally there late in the game. That one really stung because it was kind of just a brain fart. There was no reason for him to go anywhere towards second base in that situation. So a rough day for Victor Scott. Lars Nootbaar is on his way. He played a couple games in Springfield these last couple days. And so before you know it, I think Victor will find himself in Memphis to kind of just play every day and get things straightened out for him. So Lars Nootbaar is on the way. One guy that continues to impress though is what was supposed to be our backup catcher, but he's playing every day, and there is no reason to take him out of the lineup. It's Ivan Herrera. He hit another homer today, his team leading, tied with Gorman, third home run of the season, 432 feet over the left field bullpen off Aaron Nola. That's very impressive. Later in the game, he had about a 10 pitch at bat in the eighth inning, and he ended up grounding out to Sir Anthony Dominguez, the pitcher for the Phillies. He ended up grounding out to him, but it was one of those grinded out at bats. A single would have tied the game, but in that type of moment, that's what really impressed me. Nothing positive came out of it when it comes to winning this baseball game. But Ivan Herrera in that moment didn't look shy whatsoever. He was battling, taking tough pitches, fouling off tough pitches. And Sir Anthony Dominguez is a great relief pitcher for the Phillies, so that really impressed me. And then overall with Ivan, yes, he's batting over 300 at the plate. Yes, he's tied for our team lead in homers, but his defense has been great. He made two plays in the rain behind home plate along the backstop today that really impressed me. Kind of colliding with the backstop a little bit, and overall, he's been calling some good games. We give a lot of credit to these veteran pitchers who, yes, they are using that pitch notifier, whatever you want to call it. They are clicking it themselves to kind of tell Ivan what pitches they want to throw. But overall, he's got a huge impact in these games. And for our starting pitching to be rewarded and to be acknowledged as doing very well this year, I think Ivan has to be acknowledged for that as well, because he has done a great job behind the plate for a guy that probably didn't expect to get this much playing time whatsoever going into the season, especially when you have Wilson Contreras as your starting catcher. Ivan Herrera has been the bright spot so far this year, and potentially, quite possibly, the biggest surprise so far this season. I have loved everything so far about Herrera. But like I said, the Cardinals lose 4-3 today. Andre Palante, another rough outing out of the pen. He came in the sixth inning and did not record an out. Gave up a couple runs. Zach Thompson, on the other hand, was phenomenal today. 3 and a third innings pitched, no runs, 6 strikeouts. His fastball had a lot of life on it. His curveball has been elite. But what impressed to me the most was his slider. His slider had a lot of movement on it, a lot of action, a lot of sharp break away from lefties. He used it in on righties as well, down and in. I loved his slider, curveball, and fastball today. And then Kyrou finished it off with 2/3 of an inning. So we talked these last couple days about how the bullpen would be used today. It's kind of like how I thought it would be. You had Thompson to give you innings. You had Kyrou for a little bit, and Palante. I think Palante is going to be the odd guy out when everybody's healthy. I was thinking about this earlier today. You have two main bullpen arms that are not healthy right now, and Keenan Middleton and Riley O'Brien. When those guys are in the bullpen, you're going to have to obviously get rid of two guys, or I mean, by get rid of, I mean send down. And I think that has to be Ryan Fernandez, and then the other guy would be, in my opinion, it has to be Andre Palante. You could make a case for Liberatore, but he's been pretty good so far this year. And when you look at a bullpen with Helsley and Gallegos and Kittredge and Jojo Romero and Riley O'Brien and Keenan Middleton and Zach Thompson and Matthew Liberatore, that's a very strong bullpen with not a lot of weaknesses whatsoever. You have 3 lefties in there. You have 3 or 4 guys that can close out the game for you. I really like that as a strong point for this club moving forward. We just got to get guys healthy. And I think Palante has enough, and he's proven these last couple of years to be a major league arm for us. But right now, it's just not clicking. And I hope he stays up here because I really do like his stuff, especially when he's on. But Keenan Middleton and Riley O'Brien are 2 guys that I think will contribute a lot to this ball club. And right now, unless Palante shows something and Liberatore falls off, for example, I think Palante would be the odd guy out. Brendan Donovan also hit a homer today, his second of the year. The Cardinals lose, though, 4-3 to the Phillies. We fall to 6-7 on the season. We are off. On Thursday, we go to Arizona for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's a big series. We will be covering that tomorrow for that episode, or if you're listening to this on Thursday, for Friday morning's episode, we will be covering the Arizona Diamondback series because there will be no game to recap. But moving on to the St. Louis Blues, who are in the middle of a absolute dogfight to try to make it into the playoffs, where even if we got in, I don't know how far we can go. But it's all about getting in right now. And so we started today 5 points out, I should say, not 5 games, 5 points out of the playoff race behind the Vegas Golden Knights. The Vegas Golden Knights play tonight, and our St. Louis Blues play tonight. The Blues, they win. We win 5-2 versus the Blackhawks tonight. We scored 4 goals on our first 4 shots within the first 5 minutes of the game. 2 of those to Jordan Kyrou, his 28th and 29th goals of the season. Torrey Krug got the next one, his 4th goal of the year. And then Zachary Bolduc gets his 4th goal of the year on an absolute amazing pass by Robert Thomas. Crossed it right in front of the net perfectly for Bolduc. So it was 4-0 after the first period. In the second period, the Blackhawks did get one. It became 4-1 after those first 4 goals, and you could kind of see this happening before it happened. You knew the Blues would kind of let up and try to make this more of a defensive game, and they did. We weren't as aggressive until late in the third period. And late in the third period, Robert Thomas gets his 25th goal of the year. We have a couple guys pushing 30. Now I don't know how many will reach that point because we only have 4 games left in the season. But Kyrou's 1 away. Jake Neighbors is 3 or 4 away. Thomas is 5 away. Brandon Saad is 4 away, I believe. Buchnevich is up there with 3 or 4 away as well. So it's a lot of balance here, which has really been nice to see. Robert Thomas has had a great last couple of games. Had a 4-point night the other night. Also, it stood out to me the fourth line was great tonight. Not Toropchenko, Alexandrov. Nathan Walker and Sammy Blais, they were finishing all their hits very well. Tyler Tucker on the defensive side was hitting everything in sight. The Tyler Tucker in the fourth line combined for me was really scrappy tonight, really tough. Getting into a little bit of a brawl every once in a while in front of the net. There was one late with Sammy Blais, but Tyler Tucker even had a huge hit on Connor Bedard along the boards. I really liked what I saw from them. Joel Hofer didn't have to be phenomenal tonight, do anything special. He was just solid. 18 for 20 in net. After the first period, only had 1 shot on net. So he was just kind of relaxing back there tonight. Didn't have to do anything phenomenal, do anything amazing. The offense kind of shut out the Blackhawks early. After 3 goals, Peter Mrazek was taken out of the game. That's how crazy it was at the beginning there. And the Blues kind of gave it to him early, which is great to see because we need to win pretty much every game moving forward here. The other game that we were watching tonight was Vegas against the Oilers in Edmonton, and the Oilers helped us out 5-1 win over Vegas, which means we are 3 points out of the playoff race, and the Blues are off. The Blues are off on Thursday, as are the Cardinals. So we will be watching, obviously, Vegas. No, I'd have to look at when they play next because I haven't seen it. But we're going to be watching every Vegas game moving forward. Like I said, the Blues play on Friday, the Cardinals play on Friday. So Thursday night's episode going into Friday morning's episode, we'll be covering the Cardinals series versus Arizona, and then the Blues play at home on Friday night against the Carolina Hurricanes. So Friday morning's episode, we'll be covering the Cardinals' upcoming series and the Blues game because there is nothing to recap, obviously, with both teams being off tomorrow. So moving forward here, the Cardinals hopefully can kind of take advantage of an Arizona team that hasn't clicked so far this season. We do face Zach Gallen in that third game on Sunday. That's going to be a tough one. But the 2 games before that, I think, are very winnable. And then the Blues versus Carolina. Carolina is a great team that has Stanley Cup aspirations this year. So it's going to take a lot of guts and a lot of effort and everybody on board to win on Friday. It's not going to be like a Chicago Blackhawks team. The Carolina Hurricanes are the real deal. So looking forward to that. I will see you guys on Friday morning, though, for our next episode to kind of preview the Cardinals' upcoming schedule and the Blues game versus the Carolina Hurricanes. Appreciate it, guys. Make sure to go follow on all of our platforms, Arch City Sports, and we will see you guys then.